Hello world. How you guys doing? My name is Dr. Casual Pitts, and welcome again to another amazing entrepreneur spotlight. We have some amazing entrepreneurs that are going to grace this particular virtual stage and give us some information on who they are and what they do. Now, listen, guys, these are two amazing entrepreneurs. I know I've had a lot of people who've been inboxing me and saying, "Hey, Dr. Pitts, do you know anybody who writes grants? Do you know anything about the grant space?" Now, listen, I know how to stay in my lane, right? I am not a grant writer. I do not write grants. So that is not my thing, right? So I have a group of individuals that I coach and I mentor, and it's a blessing that I had the opportunity to connect with Monica Williams, who will be one of the entrepreneurs that we're highlighting and spotlighting on today. And helping her with her brand and her business, I was able to kind of comb back and find out that she is the person that you want to talk to when it comes to grant writing. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage Miss Andrea and Miss Monica. Ladies, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Good. Yeah. Now, this time, Andrea, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Andrea and Monica, I'll let you guys just kind of tell everybody, who you guys are and what you guys do as entrepreneurs. So we'll start with Miss Andrea. You can go first.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts. First of all and foremost, thank you for allowing us this platform to help everyone understand that we are here and we are serious about what we do. My name is Andrea Wooten. I am the co-founder of Community Grant Connectors. I handle all of the systematic processes to make sure everything is in order and everything is time-stamped and submitted correctly, and I am the glue of the team. I come to you with 25 years of healthcare management, and I decided to go into my own entity of helping the community help others that really need to be helped, because I saw a true need. And my passion is to help support individuals as yourselves who have the vision and the will and the guidance to do the right thing for the community and use the appropriate funds in the right manner. So my name is Andrea Wooten, and I am happy to be here on this platform to tell you a little bit about us. Thank you.
Absolutely, Andrea. Miss Monica.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. And Andrea, of course, always an honor for us to be able to talk about what we do and where God is allowed us to be able to help serve people, to help them just enlarge and increase where their mission is told and people who are utilizing their mission. So again, I am Monica Williams. I've probably been doing grant and grant writing in some shape, way, or form for about over 20 years. Started as a director of development at the Boys and Girls Club in New Mexico. But prior to that, I was also on the other side of the table where I got to help fund grants at my college when I went back after 10 years to finish. But basically, as well as grants, I also have some workshops and training. Change Today is that side of the business, as well as a book about to release. So I'm very excited. Dr. Pitts has written the foreword for that. But the most important thing, I think, for Community Grant Connectors is we want to really help organizations serve more people in the community. What I found in over 20 years of doing this is people hear the word grant, but they don't really know the core and nitty gritty of what that means. Some people are not grant ready. And we also have a workshop that we're featuring for the month of May to really help nonprofit or for-profit. And there's some myths that for-profit corporations or individuals can't apply for grants, but we really want to help connect not just the businesses with community, but we want to internally help teams be stronger and really develop a plan so that everybody involved with the grants are part of the process and look at sustainability beyond getting that money. So we'll tell you a little bit more later about how this even began, which is a pretty awesome thing, but I'm just happy to be here. So thank you again, Dr. Pitts.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Monica, and thank you, Andrea. I appreciate you guys for just giving a brief introduction. So now I want you guys to just give us a little bit of a deep dive in regards to when it comes to grant writing. A lot of people, because let's go over the pros and the cons, right, and the myths behind grant writing. So if you guys can kind of cover some of those, that'll be amazing. And, you know, picking who wants to go first. but I got my pen and my pad. I'm taking notes. So I'm a student.
So I'm going to say this, Dr. Pitts, if you want all of them, you're going to have to sign up for one of our workshops and, you know, just bring us on as a client, but I'll just leave that right there.
There you go. There you go.
So Andrea, is it okay if I start with a couple of the myths?
Please.
This is actually one of the things we cover in our signature workshop called the 5 W's and the H of fund development strategies and grant writing. So I actually talk about myths in that workshop. But one of the myths, and I mentioned it in my intro, you don't just have to be a nonprofit to go for grants. Like, we hear 501c3 so much that people just think you can only be a 501c3. That is not true. Secondly, a grant writer, no matter how phenomenal we are or they are, they cannot guarantee your grant for you. The funder will guarantee that by who they select, and you, with your work and working with your grant writer or your team, will really seal that deal. So I don't care how many grants a grant writer, even the most amazing, have won. It gets, you know, it's kind of a myth that people think, well, the grant writer is going to get this for me. We're going to do our best always, but we cannot guarantee. So there are some other myths, but those are two that I just really like to stress up front.
Absolutely.
And to add to that, I can just say that the myth is very prominent amongst the community and the expectancy that if it's submitted in time, then we should get paid. So again, it all boils down to the quality of grant and what your projection is and how clear it is for them to be able to push you to the cream of the crop, the top. So it's very important to take your time in the quality of the submission.
And there's also kind of a ratio. Again, every grant and every organization is different. Some win all, some win one. We've had a couple organizations where we've seen like they've written like 15 or 20 grants and they've not won. And so we want to go back. That's one of the things that we do. And we'll tell you more about our process a little bit. We really go very intricately at looking at what did your grant say? How did they look? Because we don't want you to keep submitting them the same way if you're not winning the awards. We really need to understand, and we want you to understand why you might be missing out on, you know, getting awarded.
Absolutely. And you know, that's kind of a great segue into my next question in regards to the award rate, right? And I think you kind of touched on that a little bit. But before you answer that, I want everybody to pay attention to both introductions these ladies both have, which is one of the questions that I believe anybody who's trying to seek for a grant writer is the experience. Both ladies have over 20 years of experience when it comes to grant writing. So we already have the expertise out of the window, right? So if you guys can just touch a little bit about, you know, your award rate or what's the normal award rate for grant writing, because a lot of times people's expectation is because they have everything in line, they have all of the documentation in order and everything is good. They got tenure in their business. Their bar is set high to where no matter who I hire for a grant writer, I should automatically get approved because I have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed. So can you guys kind of talk a little bit about the award rate, your award rate, or maybe what's the normal award rate when it comes to grant writing?
Andrea, you want to take this one first since I started the last one?
Sure. I'll be first in line. My personal award rate is pretty high because I'm not trying to boast or anything, but I really feel that the approach to the grant to make sure that it's a viable grant because I don't like wasting my time. And honestly, since I've been in this industry in a separate entity moving forward, my ratio out of 4 huge government grants that I have submitted, I've gotten 3 out of 4. And the only one that I did not get was because of the organization did not have the certified account for the funds to go into. So yeah, that was like months, many nights lost over something so trivial. And this, again, is something that people have got to realize. You've got to have certain things in order. You can get to the end and still not get it. Mm-hmm. So my experience is, yes, my ratio is pretty intense. And I believe that once again, the approach and the viable grant perspective is huge in my success. Monica, did I answer?
Okay. Yes. So I want to speak to two things. So for community grant connectors, our business has been in place for about a year or so, but the experience, as Dr. Pitt said, 20 to 30 years easy combined. So when Andrea reached out a few years ago, and that's a whole just amazing, beautiful blessing, she just knew I was the one that she needed to bring to the table to help the, move forward with the grant. So just to know that, because some people say, well, we want to know how, many awards you've won. So when we talk about our awards, this is prior to, since we have been in business, we have worked with probably about 5 or 6 organizations. We had one major organization that we did fund development for and grants for. We got to do work on a $700,000 grant. And I'll piggyback on what Andrea said. Got to the day of, asked them to do one thing. They did not do it. They would have won it, but they didn't submit one thing. So when you're working with your grant writers, please, the leader ultimately of the organization has the final say. But we are going to be honest with you and tell you, this is a viable one, this one is not. Or even if it's $1 million grant and you have, for example, a $250,000 grant beside it, if the $250,000 grant is the more quality grant, and we know you can maybe get that one, we're going to be honest and say, go for this one and not the $1 million. So I just want to put that out there. We're always going to look for quality. And there's something in our workshop we talk about now called quality versus quantity. Quality is always going to be our goal and sustainability. But as far as my rate, probably out of the, 20, 30 or more grants that I've written, probably only 2 or 3 have I not been awarded. So about an 80% ratio. And we do grants, government grants, nonprofit grant, educational grant. Like I said, I started being on this side of the table where I was helping my college decide who would get grants for the campus. And then my first job doing this, I was applying for a job with the Boys and Girls Club on a whole nother level. And the resume writer said, have you thought about being a grant writer? Because you write really well. And I had not. I was just like, nope. First day on the job was the United Way proposal. Had not touched the United Way proposal. I was like, you want me to do, huh? But that was where it all began. We won the award. And ever since, here I am.
Wow.
And if I can just elaborate a little bit more, me coming to the table from healthcare to community services, I had the opportunity to transition and be a caregiver for my parents for a while. And during this time, I had a friend come to me and say, Andrea, I need you. You're a visionary, you're project management. I am certified, by the way, and we need you to be our glue. So I have since been the glue of projects, of development and fundraising and making sure that everybody's in order. So it's a perfect win-win. If you notice, she is so eloquent with words. I'm just ABC, and here we are, we're done. So we're a really good peanut butter and jelly mix. We really are.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I can see it. I definitely can see it, which gives kind of segue. You guys are doing great for these segues into this next question. Monica, you touched a little bit. You started going over the different grants, right? So that kind of took that question out of the equation, but it does talk a little bit about, because you have all of these different kinds of grants, what is the length of time, right? What would you consider being the longest, term grant? What is the shortest term grant based on the different categories that you expressed? Can you just kind of talk a little bit about those? Maybe 1 or 2 grants that you would, recommend to individuals that are ones that are kind of looking for the shorter term grants and the longer term grants, or is there even a time frame that you can put on grants? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I would say let's not put a time frame because every funder is different. One of the things we do is we take people through a consultation process in most cases, and we have a questionnaire because it helps us understand your business first and foremost. Before we even write a grant for you, we need to understand your mission, understands your team and understand where that leader is wanting to take that organization. So as we get that information, it helps us decide what we're looking for. So we're always searching for grants. We may find one grant for one organization and it may work for another organization. So it might be a matter of sharing that information. So it's going to depend on that funder first and foremost, because they're going to outline specifically for you what they are asking for. Like that's our driver. But we're always looking. But we also, again, look at, are you grant ready? Because some organizations may need to stop before the train like goes off the track. And like I said, you keep going for grants when really what we need to do is pull back and make sure all your documents are in order. Make sure you know what your mission is. Make sure you understand how to sustain this grant. So there's so many factors that go in. And what I'm finding, Dr. Pitts, is a lot of organizations, again, you just hear the grant word, but some of them are not ready. So we want to help people get grant ready. So again, we're offering a special for the month of the summer for a get grant ready workshop, if you will, but also helping teams get grant ready. But some really aren't. And we just want to be honest with them that before you can apply for a grant, we want you to look as strong as you can in front of the funder. And that means we need to flesh out those documents. We need to flesh out, how is the team working? Are you all even talking to each other? Because you cannot work a grant if the team is not working together. It ends up falling apart for the client that you serve.
Yeah, there's so many attributes to this. Is your infrastructure strong? What is your unique position? What is unique about what you want to bring to the table? And is your program structured, and is it measuring outcomes? A lot of people want to go get grants and stuff, but then there's no statistics to follow why you should be awarded. So that is very important, and we help with placing that in process for you to start accumulating that information.
No data, no story.
Right. And it's another answer to the question as far as the time. You can have a grant monthly, one that's due in 30 days, one that's due in 2023, one that's due this year, and then annies up every year after that for recurring funding. So it all depends. It all depends.
And that's why that's why we look at two components now, again, with fund development strategies, because do we need to look at other income streams for you, capital campaigns, events, things that are going to generate funding for you while you're waiting for those grants. You may have to apply for 10 grants or 8 grants before you get the one. So you always want to be looking at other strategies as well to work in conjunction with it if you need to.
Yes, definitely. That is definitely advised anyways.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Listen, I hope that everybody that is watching live and that's going to watch the replay, you guys are getting this information, because hey, here's a lot of discussions that are not had when it comes to grant writing, right? So can you guys talk a little bit about, the intake process? Like, is there ever a time, because you guys may get flooded with applications, or, we'll talk a little bit about what that process is, but you just kind of talk about, do you guys ever shut the button off or not accept it? You guys got to do the writing, right? So I know you can't take 100 applications, and because this is going to be broadcasts all over, I want to make sure we just put this disclaimer out now. First come, first serve. You guys want to get to them as quick as possible, because you guys can answer, is there a limit of grants that you guys either do per year, or is it per month, or you guys can talk a little bit about that?
Andrea, do you want to take this one, or you want me to start?
Oh, I love this question. Right now, we are definitely looking to shut off our opportunities of new clients, hopefully by the end of August. But with that being said, it all depends on what type of clients that we have in our pocket right now, if they're going to be any need for them to do any funding during a certain said time of the year. So we, again, strategically, and will not just take anybody and everybody, we definitely do an interview. And I have to say, Monica will smile at this, I have said no to clients because I just did not feel like they were ready. They were not listening. They still wanted to do it their way. And I'm like, well, what are we here for? So if you have been doing it and it hasn't worked for you and you bring us to the table, but yet you still want to tell us how to do it, Andrea Wooten has said, we are not a good fit. So again, we're looking for individuals that are pliable, realistic, and a teamwork mission effort. So the answer to that question is it all depends for me and where we're at in that stage of our business.
And I would oh, go ahead, Andrew. I'm sorry. And I would say I never want to say that we aren't going to take clients, because again, what can happen is certain clients, like Andrea said, we've done what we can do at a certain point, and so the window opens up again. So Dr. Pitts, you said it's first come, first serve. The first person to say, we do what's called a memorandum of understanding, and we create the scope of work, financials, and all that stuff. We sign off and we move forward. But right now, we've told a couple people in the last 3 weeks, like, hey, you want to do this as quickly as you can, because when other people come, we may have to say, okay, we have to get to you in the next 6 months. Through our consultation, and once people sign on by that, it sort of holds their spot. And once we develop that project timeline for them, and we work in 90-day increments. So you're going to know the first 90 days what it looks like for you, and then the next 90 days for that whole year or 6 months or however long you decide to work with us. But we do the 90 days like a new hire. Are we good for you? Are you a good fit for us? So that 90 days helps us all get a feel for that. But yeah, we definitely have said no. And as I shared that one example, when we work really hard, we gave up our holiday for that client. We gave up a lot, and $700,000. When I know you can win that amount of money and then you don't do one thing, and Dr. Pitts, you know my whole life and how hard I have to work for things, and I always will. We definitely, from that situation, made some adjustments. I will tell you that.
And just to say this, we still got paid. That's not the issue. The issue is that they didn't follow through on something so simple, and it really broke us. We could say, well, we got paid, whatever, but no, we really, really get into the team ethics of each organization and really get attached. That's all I have to say.
Because we want you to win. We want the teams to win.
Exactly.
But that, Dr. Pitts, is an example of fund development strategies. We have been talking about that. Had we done the fund development strategies from the beginning, instead of just going for grant, because sometimes the leaders will just throw over the shoulder and they keep throwing, and we had to say, okay, we need you to pick the top 2 or 3 grants you want to go for. This over the throw is not sustainable or effective.
Yeah. Well, it speaks to integrity. You guys have integrity with what you're doing, right? And that's extremely important. For those of you who know who I am and know what I do, I speak about having integrity in your brand and your business. It's not about the dollar. And if you're doing it for the dollar, then you might as well just close shop, shut the business down. When you have integrity, and you have that customer service, and you have that care and concern with the services or product that you provide to the end consumer, when you're passionate about that, sometimes we find ourselves a little bit more, strategic, or we find ourselves a little bit more stern when it comes to making sure that you have all of your I's dotted and T's crossed. Why? Because we want you to succeed. We know that the reason why you came to me or to you is because we want you to succeed. And in order for that to happen, you are going to have to follow some rules and guidelines to make sure that this is a smooth process. Because one, we want repeat business, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. So guys, tell us, give us the full scope of what CGC does, and tell us exactly what events you guys have coming up, what different workshops you guys have coming up, whether they're live workshops or virtual workshops. Can you guys just kind of give us the full spectrum of CGC?
Okay. So one of the things that not only is it coming up, it's happening now. So we have a signature workshop called the 5 W's and H of fund development strategies and grant writing. So people can take that ongoing. That's part of what we do ongoing. What we're offering for in May, it's called Are You Grant Ready? It's a workshop and it's $20, so very minimal. But we also have another special offer for anyone who attends that workshop that they'll get once they attend the workshop. But what we do really is, and so that will go through the summer, but they can use that through December of 2022. But like Andrea kind of mentioned, what we really do is community for us is not just the external community. We care about the internal community of that team. So we want to make sure everybody that's part of the grant, that's part of trying to bring in funding for that organization at the level we would come in on, is part of the process. We don't want to just talk to the leader who got the grant. We want to talk to the front line staff or team members who have to execute this, because at the end of the day, we want your client and the people you serve to really have quality. But we also care about not just the end of the grant, we care about sustainability beyond the grant. Partnerships, again, community grant partners. I'm the director of partnerships. That's something I do really well in connecting. So we want to make sure that we also are helping you strengthen partnerships that can help you execute. You may have a partner that can do part of this grant that you can't finish, but they can finish. Do you write them into the grant, or do we just make sure there's a succession plan in place so they can help take that baton to keep helping those students? But at the end of the day, it just really is about understanding your mission and making sure that you understand your mission, because it's very interesting to talk to organizations and they don't really understand why they're going for the grant other than money. And like Andrea said, quality is always going to be our number one priority.
And what I can say to wrap it up is it's a very systematic, easy process to get it done and to get the quality that you're looking for. We, again, can take someone that is green and make them ripe, from business license to making sure that they're ready from all aspects. We help from the A to the Z of the business world. So that's where I come in as the administrator and knowing that kind of entity of LLC and licensing, business, all that. So again, we offer the whole Pandora for your organization, from taking a single vision or one that's already in process and expanding it and making it happen.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So guys, tell us, how do we sign up for this workshop? How do we get in? Tell us how to stay connected to you guys. Tell us where to follow you guys at. Because look, guys, I'm letting you look. I am vouching for these two ladies. I will be using them for a few of my institutions, a lot of my partners that I'm going to recommend to use them for a few of my institutions. And anybody who's my mentee, you already know we share amongst one another, right? I want to make sure that you guys reach out to Andrea and Monica. They would definitely help you. But guys, just tell us, how do we stay connected with you and how do we help for this workshop?
Sure. Our phone number of contact is 623-231-7767 is our office number. And then we are on Facebook as well under Community Grant Connectors. And then also our email address is info@communitygrantconnectors.com.
And so we are working on our website, so that will be up here as soon as possible. But definitely we have a workshop, and I'll make sure Dr. Pitts has that. But for the month of May, it's called Are You Grant Ready? And it literally, Dr. Pitts has taught me this. My meetings last no more than 30 minutes. It may be an hour. So he's taught me well, like we very much stay an hour or less, I promise you, unless you have more questions. But as far as the process with us, we do have a consultation. You can choose either 30-minute or an hour. And that's where we get into the nitty-gritty of the MOU if you decide to move forward with us. But I would encourage anyone, the workshops will run for the month of May, Monday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Tuesday morning, our Monday mornings are getting pretty filled up. But we have Tuesday morning at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. So I would encourage people, you can pay in advance for that. Once you send us your information, to info@communitygrantconnectors.com and tell us you want to take that workshop and how many people, please register in advance, because you'll get a special rate once you take that workshop for a 90-day us get you grant ready. And you can, even if you sign up now, you can use it in September, but by May, we just have to get you locked in and ready to go. But that workshop is running now through the end of May.
And we at Community Grant Connectors would love to hear from you, even just a feedback on what you heard today. I would love to hear it.
Absolutely.
We're excited.
Listen,
We're excited.
You guys better connect with them. Connect. Listen, my job as an entrepreneur is to bring resources, right? Once I bring the resources, it's up to you to knock on the door or take the lead or take that chance, right? I want you guys to understand, if you are not willing to invest in yourself, your business will not grow, okay? Even plants need water and sunlight in order for them to grow. A change of scenery in order for them to grow. New soil in order for them to grow. New fertilizer in order for them to grow. With that being said, I encourage each and every last one of you guys to reach out to these ladies because they know what they're talking about. They're experts. Again, I vouch for them. Ladies, is there anything that you guys want to say before we exit?
The last thing I wanted to say, and again, I am so thankful for my grant business partner, Andrea, and how this came to be. In doing this, a lot of the reason we are doing this is because, like she said, we had to take care of family who was ill and life shifted for us. And so we just looked at what our purpose is and what we bring to the table. And so it all has just worked out. So as entrepreneurs, as Dr. Pitts is training all of his mentees and Andrea as well, like, we're here to help people thrive and survive and to help as many people as we can, because right now more people need funds, resources, and services than ever. So let's work together. We rise together is one of my mottos. And, you know, Dr. Pitts, you have a motto you say all the time. So it is who Community Grant Connectors is about. It's about us and you and us all winning as a team. So.
Amen. She summed it up for me, Dr. Pitts.
Absolutely. But listen, guys, as Monica said, great segue into what I always say, my motto, my quote is: coming together is the beginning. Sticking together is progress. And working together is success. My name is Dr. Casual Pitts, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Entrepreneur Spotlight.